I'm not even sure how long I've been parked here. The engine's off, but the heat is still rising through my chest, like smoke in a locked room. I haven't blinked in what feels like hours, just staring at the soft yellow porch light across the street, like it might burn out and take me with it. Because tonight, I found him. Not at work, not on a late shift, not stuck in traffic or running errands or whatever bullshit lie he texted me an hour ago. No, he's in there, right now, inside her apartment, my best friend's apartment. And the worst part? I fucking knew. Something in my gut has been screaming for weeks and I ignored it because I didn't want to be that girl. The paranoid one, the insecure one, the one who checks his phone or questions his tone or says, "Who were you really with?" But here I am, doing exactly that. And I wish I was wrong. My name is Elena. I'm 29. I work in healthcare marketing. I own exactly 3 houseplants, all of which are somehow still alive. I like my eggs scrambled and my playlists chaotic. And for the last 10 months, I have been in what I thought was a healthy, loving, stable relationship with a man. We will call him Jordan. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, the kind where you show up for drinks and leave wondering if something in your life just shifted. He had this easy smile, the kind that made you lean in. He wasn't flashy or loud or trying too hard. He just was. Calm, steady, safe. Or so I thought. Because now I'm sitting in my car, hands trembling, phone still unlocked on my lap with the last message from him staring back at me like a joke. "Running late, babe. I'll call you when I'm out." Out of what, Jordan? Out of her. And when I say her, I don't mean some random girl off Tinder. I mean my best friend since college. Let's call her Maya, the one who helped me through my mom's surgery, who binge-watched bad dating shows with me on Sunday nights, the one I called last week to ask for advice. About him. And now? Now her curtains are drawn, her hallway lights on, and his fucking car is parked outside, 3 spaces down from mine, like the universe needed to add insult to injury. At first, I tried to convince myself I was wrong, that there was some explanation. Maybe he borrowed something. Maybe Maya needed help with her busted heater again. But that was 3 hours ago, and it's almost midnight. So, here I am. Alone in the dark, mascara running down my cheekbones like ink bleeding from a lie. My chest feels like it's holding back a scream I don't have the energy to release. And I haven't even knocked yet. Because once I do, once I walk up those steps and ring that bell, there's no going back. No more pretending. No more, maybe I misunderstood. No more, he would never. Just the cold, sharp truth that the man I trusted and the friend I leaned on have both been lying to my face. And tonight, I'm going to find out exactly how deep it goes. Before you judge me, before you roll your eyes and say, "Girl, how didn't you see this coming?" Just stop, because I've been doing that all damn night, rewinding every moment like a crime scene analyst, zooming in on conversations, tones, timing, body language, looking for cracks in the foundation I thought was solid. And you know what I keep finding? Nothing. Or at least, nothing obvious. Nothing that screamed, "He's cheating," or "Your best friend is playing you like a violin." Jordan was present. Thoughtful, predictable, in that comforting grown man kind of way. He remembered my dentist appointments. He made Spotify playlists for road trips. He held my hand in public. He showed up for brunch with my aunties and actually liked them. We had rituals, Friday Thai food, Sunday morning coffee runs, voice notes during busy workdays just to say, "Thinking about you." We laughed. We fought sometimes. Sure, who doesn't? But it was never toxic. Just 2 people learning how to communicate better. Or so I thought. And Maya was my person. She knew my door code. She knew the name of the barista who spelled my name wrong every day. She was the only person who knew the full story about how my dad bailed when I was 10 and why I still triple-check locked doors at night. We had history. She saw me through breakups, job layoffs, my mother's breast cancer battle. She cried in my lap after her last miscarriage. That's how deep we went. So no, I didn't expect her to be the one. You want to know how I found out something was off? It wasn't lipstick on his collar or some sketchy DM. It was Maya's perfume. One night, maybe 3 weeks ago, Jordan kissed me goodbye before heading back to work. And I caught a hint of something. Not mine, not cologne. Something warm, floral, expensive, and familiar. Maya wears this signature scent, some Chanel fragrance her sister gifted her. It smells like wealth and seduction and secrets. I didn't say anything. I could have. But I didn't want to come off crazy. I even gaslit myself, saying maybe I'd hugged her earlier that day. Maybe her perfume lingered on my sweater and rubbed off on Jordan when we kissed. Logical, right? That's the thing. When people say, trust your gut, they don't tell you what it costs when you're wrong. The shame, the awkward apology, the distance it creates. I didn't want to risk that. Because for the first time in years, I felt safe, grounded, chosen. Jordan made me feel like I wasn't just another woman he was dating. I was his, the one he saw a future with. He even talked about moving in. That's what kills me. We had dinner with Maya last week, the three of us, sitting at the same table, laughing over spicy tuna rolls and inside jokes about The Bachelor. And now I wonder, how many times were they laughing at me? How many times did Maya fake compassion, knowing she'd been in my man's bed the night before? I keep replaying that dinner in my head, trying to find the glitch, the eye contact, the silence too long, the smile too tight. But all I see is trust. Trust I gave freely. Trust they both buried. And now, I'm about to dig it back up. Bone by bone, lie by lie. Because I'm done being the fool in someone else's love story. You know how people say, it just felt easy? That was Jordan. Not sparks and chaos, not butterflies that feel like anxiety with a dress on. Just peace. We met at the kind of birthday party you almost skip. Thursday night, midweek chaos, half-charged phone, not in the mood to mingle. But something told me to go. I showed up in jeans and a top I'd worn 3 times before. No expectations, no lashes, just vibes. He was at the kitchen counter making conversation with the birthday girl's dad. Yeah, her dad, about the real estate market. No flexing, no performative alpha energy. Just this calm, easy presence, like he didn't need the room to revolve around him to feel seen. I liked that. He offered me a drink. We talked for 2 hours about everything from overpriced oat milk to our mutual love for trash TV. It wasn't flirty at first. It was natural, safe, grounded. And when he asked for my number at the end of the night, he didn't say, "We should hang out sometime." He said, "I'd like to take you out next week. Friday at 7. It was the first time in years I didn't feel like I was auditioning for a role someone had already half-cast in their mind. From that first date, it was consistency. He showed up, in little ways and big ones. He remembered I hated cilantro. He sent me flowers once just because I'd had a rough day at work. He never made me guess where we stood. Even my mom liked him. My mom, who hasn't trusted a single man since my dad ghosted our family, like we were a Netflix subscription he forgot he still had. We hit the 3-month mark and started blending more of our lives. Sunday errands, weeknight Netflix. He met Bria, my older sister, who grilled him like a cop but later told me, "I like him, he listens." And he did. He wasn't the type to post a ton of us online, but he wasn't hiding either. His arm was always around me at dinner parties. He'd reach for my hand when we crossed the street. Just small gestures that felt like truth. When I got the flu in April, he came over with ginger tea, crackers, and that weird eucalyptus chest rub my mom used when we were little. He stayed 3 nights on my couch just to be there, in case I needed anything. Who does that? He wasn't perfect, but I didn't want perfect. I wanted real, honest, kind, and Jordan was all of that. Or at least, he pretended well enough to fool everyone, including me. By month 6, we started talking about moving in together. It was casual at first, half a joke about how his toothbrush never left my place, how he had more hoodies in my closet than I did. But we both felt it. We were building something. We even looked at a few listings together. Tiny 1-bedrooms and overpriced condos with views we couldn't afford but liked to dream about anyway. I remember one night, we stood on the balcony of a 3rd-floor walk-up, and he said, "I could see us here, making pancakes on Sundays, arguing over thermostat settings." That's the version of him I remember when I try to fall asleep now. That quiet, goofy man who held my hand in a stranger's kitchen and made me feel safe for the first time in years. That's the version I thought was real. Turns out it was just a role he played really well, until the curtain started to fall. And that curtain, it's made of betrayal, threaded by lies. And I didn't see it coming. Not yet anyway. The cracks didn't start as earthquakes. They came like hairline fractures, small, almost invisible. Easy to explain away if you wanted to keep believing the foundation was solid. And I did. It started with the phone. Not that he was hiding it, at first, but he became protective. Little things. Turning it face down at dinner. Keeping it in his pocket during movie nights. Getting up to take calls on the balcony, claiming it was work stress. I remember one night, we were watching The Office reruns, and his phone buzzed 3 times in a row. He glanced at it and said, "Just work stuff," then turned up the volume. I laughed it off. I didn't want to be that girl. The jealous one. The clingy one who starts fights over nothing. But the gut doesn't lie. Something was off. His schedule got weird too. Late meetings, emergency calls, a last-minute overnight conference in Leeds that didn't make it to his calendar. When I asked for the hotel he was staying at, he said, "Babe, I'll be in meetings all day. You really want to stress over logistics?" And I said, okay, like an idiot. I even defended him to Maya. Oh yeah, Maya. My best friend. The one who always had wine and empathy on tap. The one who told me gently over brunch, "Don't take this the wrong way, but you sure he's not pulling away a little?" I rolled my eyes and laughed it off. Nah, he's just under pressure. New project, big pitch coming up. He's been all over the place, but it'll settle. And she nodded, like that was enough. But then she stopped asking. That was the first weird thing. Maya used to check in about Jordan all the time, ask about our plans, tease me about how domesticated I was becoming. But lately, nothing. No questions, no teasing, just silence, like she didn't want to bring him up at all. Still, I didn't push. I thought maybe she was going through her own stuff. And maybe she was. The real shift happened a week before everything broke. Jordan came over late, really late, and he looked frazzled. He said his client pitch had gone sideways and they'd had to redo everything last minute. I made tea, I rubbed his back, I told him I was proud of him for pushing through. And then he did something strange. He kissed me on the forehead, whispered, "You're too good to me," and asked me to promise something. Promise you'll always trust me, even when things feel blurry. I laughed. I thought it was sweet. I had no idea it was a warning disguised as intimacy. Then came last Thursday. He said he had a meeting on site at a new project in Camden, running all afternoon into the evening. "Might be home super late," he said. "Don't wait up." But something in his voice was off. Too polished, too rehearsed. So I did something I'd never done before in 10 months. I checked his location. He'd shared it months ago. Some romantic gesture during a weekend getaway. "Just so you can stalk me when I'm lost on the tube," he'd joked. And now? It pinged. Not in Camden, not at a construction site, but at a small, familiar address in Islington. An address I knew by heart. Maya, my best friend's apartment. And just like that, the foundation split. Not with a bang, but a pinpoint crack that shattered everything. He wasn't at work. He was with her. And suddenly, every moment, every excuse, every unreadable look between them came flooding back. The shift wasn't subtle anymore. It was a goddamn earthquake. I wasn't breathing. Not really, just short, shallow gulps as I stared at the blinking blue dot on my phone. I refreshed the map twice, maybe 3 times, like the location might change if I begged the universe hard enough, but it didn't. Jordan's phone was still parked at Maya's address, and I wasn't imagining it. I wasn't spinning out, because I hadn't found this by accident. I was tipped off, not by Maya. God, no. She was playing house with him, not by some suspicious coworker or nosy neighbor either. Jordan's older brother, let's call him Jason. Yeah, that Jason, the one who always kept a little distance from me at family barbecues, who played the part of polite but never warm. I always thought he just wasn't into new people. Turns out he wasn't into lies. It started with a DM at 8:46 p.m. This may not be my place, but you deserve to know. Maya's place. 15 minutes ago, Jordan's car. No explanation, no context, just that. And attached, a blurry photo taken through a windshield. Jordan's unmistakable black Audi, parked 3 doors down from Maya's. I stared at that message for 5 full minutes, palms sweating, heart kicking my ribs like it wanted out. Then I grabbed my keys. Now, here I was, outside her building, engine still running, fists clenched tight in my lap like I needed to hold myself together with pressure alone. The curtains were still drawn. His car still parked, and my entire body was vibrating with rage and disbelief and some cocktail of grief I hadn't tasted before. I was done doubting. I was done being the cool girlfriend who trusts. I marched across the street like something inside me had been set on fire. I didn't knock. I didn't call. I punched in the security code, Maya's birthday, because of course I knew it, and stormed up 3 flights of stairs without letting myself think. And when the door opened, he answered. Jordan, shirtless, smiling, like nothing was wrong, like this was normal. Elena? His face did this twitchy thing, like he couldn't decide whether to be surprised or defensive. What are you? But then Maya appeared behind him, in my hoodie, the same one she borrowed months ago and forgot to give back. I didn't speak, not at first. I just stood there, watching the moment crash into them, Jordan scrambling for a lie, Maya shrinking behind his shoulder like a coward. Elena, it's not what... He reached for me. I stepped back. No, I said. Just that. One word, but it felt like a scream. I looked straight at Maya. You knew, this whole time. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Guilt, all over her face. I asked you for advice about him, I said, my voice breaking. And still, Jordan stood there, silent, no denial, no apology. That's when it really hit me. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This wasn't an accident. This was an arrangement. They had planned this, behind my back, in my blind spots. I turned to leave, not because I was done, but because staying any longer would have meant breaking something. Maybe them, maybe myself. Maya called after me, some pitiful whisper of, "Wait, please." But I didn't stop. I walked, down the stairs, out the building, back into the car that still smelled like the vanilla air freshener Jordan picked out last month, and I screamed, right there in the driver's seat. A raw, guttural, ripped from the core scream. Because it was real now. No more what-ifs, no more gut feelings. They did this. Together. And I would never be the same. I didn't sleep that night. Not even close. I lay on the couch, still in my coat, staring at the ceiling like maybe the cracks would spell out an answer. My apartment felt too quiet, like the silence was pressing in from every corner. And my body, my entire body, was vibrating with the kind of sick adrenaline that doesn't go away, just mutates into rage, self-loathing, and question after question I couldn't stop replaying. What did I miss? How long had it been going on? Why her? By sunrise, I'd read through every text, every DM, every shared photo on my phone like a forensic detective trying to reconstruct the scene of a murder. Because that's what it felt like something had died. The version of my life where I was loved, chosen, safe, gone. I even convinced myself, briefly, that maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe it had just started. Maybe it was a mistake. Something recent. A moment of weakness. People mess up, right? So I did what no self-respecting woman should ever have to do. I texted Maya. You owe me the truth. All of it. If there's even a shred of decency left in you. She replied in under a minute. Come over. I'll tell you everything. I didn't want to go, but I had to. I needed it said out loud. Needed to look her in the face and hear the filth from her own mouth. When I walked in, she didn't even look guilty. Just tired. Maya sat on the edge of her couch, legs crossed like we were just 2 girls chatting over wine. Elena, she started. I never meant for it to get this far. Wrong answer. My jaw locked. How far is this far exactly? She didn't flinch. That night you met Jordan? She said. At Lily's birthday party? He and I had already hooked up. Twice. The world stopped. The room stopped. I blinked. She continued, soft, like a confession she'd been rehearsing. I didn't know you were going to hit it off like that. I thought it was just casual with him. But then, you two became a thing. I figured it'd burn out. My hands were shaking. You kept sleeping with him, even after we started dating? She looked down, didn't deny it. Why? I said, breath caught in my throat. Why would you let me fall for someone you were already sleeping with? Maya finally looked me in the eye. I wanted to stop, she said, but he kept coming back, and I didn't want to lose you either. So I lied. To both of you. No tears. No apology. Just the ugliest truth. She'd never been my friend. Not really. This wasn't betrayal born from passion or drunken mistakes. This was premeditated, cold, calculated. It had started before Jordan and I were even real. They both built a relationship with me while quietly sharing something behind my back. And suddenly I understood. Maya wasn't shocked because there was nothing to be shocked about. This wasn't a secret hookup. It was normal for them. It was me who had been the outsider all along. And the worst part? They never even tried that hard to hide it. Just counted on my oblivious trust in them both. I left Maya's apartment without saying another word. Didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't slap her, even though my body was practically begging for some kind of release. I just walked out, down the stairs, out the front door, past Jordan's car still parked outside like nothing had changed, like the world wasn't on fire. When I got back to my apartment, I collapsed on the bathroom floor. Still in my coat, still shaking, I stared at the graying grout between the tiles until my vision blurred, trying to make sense of something senseless. The same question kept repeating in my skull like a siren I couldn't shut off. What the hell was I even in? Because it sure as hell wasn't a relationship. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't love. It was a performance. One I didn't know I'd been cast in. They'd been writing the script together, behind my back, and I was just delivering my lines like a fool. Do you know what it's like to look back and doubt every single memory? To not know what was real, what was rehearsed, what was manipulated? That's what betrayal does. It doesn't just hurt you, it rewrites you. Suddenly, every smile feels fake. Every kiss feels staged. Every word feels like bait. And worse, you start to wonder if it was you the whole time. If you were just easy to fool. I thought about every birthday Maya showed up for. Every coffee Jordan made me on Sunday mornings. The playlist he curated called Elena Vibes. It was all exactly that. All curated. All intentional. I was in love with a story they built around me, and now that story was over. And I was the punchline. I didn't eat for 2 days. Couldn't. Everything tasted like sawdust and regret. Friends texted, but I ignored them. I didn't want sympathy. Didn't want advice. What could anyone say that wouldn't sound and feel like salt in my wound? You're better off without him. Some people are just trash. She was never your real friend. Yeah, no shit. You know what nobody talks about? How lonely it feels to watch your entire inner circle collapse. Jordan was gone. Maya was dead to me. And with them went the shared group chats, the weekend plans, the routine. They don't tell you that heartbreak can make everything unfamiliar. Even brushing your teeth feels like a betrayal. Even opening your fridge feels stupid. Like, what's the point? The only person I saw was my neighbor, Mrs. Kellerman, who knocked on my door because my dog Brisket wouldn't stop barking. He could feel it too, I think. The shift. The storm. She peered into the hallway and took one look at me. No makeup, hoodie stained with something I didn't remember spilling, and said, "Honey, you look like you just buried someone." And I nearly laughed, because she was right. I had. Not just Jordan, not just Maya, but the entire version of my life I'd spent the last year building. That was the death. The invisible one. The one with no funeral, no condolences, no flowers, just silence, and a long list of questions that would never be answered. Here's what they don't tell you after betrayal. Closure doesn't come in a single moment. It's not a dramatic scream or a perfectly timed goodbye. It's slower, meaner. It comes in pieces. Like when I finally deleted Jordan's number, not in a rage, not during a breakdown. Just one quiet Tuesday when I realized I hadn't thought about him for almost a full hour. That was a win. Or when I blocked Maya on everything. Not because I wanted to punish her, but because every time her name popped up, it pulled me back into a world where my love and loyalty were weapons used against me. I didn't want to play defense anymore. I wanted peace. Which, as it turns out, doesn't feel like happiness. It feels like stillness. Like silence that doesn't make your chest ache. Like waking up in the morning and not immediately checking your phone for his good morning text. Because you know what? The worst part of betrayal isn't the pain. It's the withdrawal. You are fed this daily dose of attention, affection, dopamine. Then suddenly it's gone. You don't just mourn them, you mourn the high they gave you. The version of yourself that felt wanted. I miss that version of me. But now I'm rebuilding her, brick by brick, and I'm using stronger material this time. It started with stupid little things. Buying a new toothbrush because his old one was still in my bathroom, throwing out the mug he loved, rearranging my apartment so it didn't feel like a museum of a fake relationship. I changed my playlist, cut my hair. Hell, I even adopted another plant. It wasn't about moving on. It was about reclaiming space, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Because for 10 months, I made room for someone who had no intention of staying. But now, that room is mine again. I still think about it. Not every day, but when I do, it's different. I used to obsess over the why. Why would he do this? Why would she do this? Was I not enough? Was I too trusting? Too blind? But that line of questioning is a trap, because it assumes their betrayal had something to do with my worth. It didn't. It had to do with their character, their cowardice, their inability to love without control. Jordan didn't cheat because I was lacking. He cheated because he was greedy, because lying was easier than being honest, because he didn't have the spine to break up with me like a grown adult. And Maya, she didn't betray me because I was a bad friend. She did it because she was never a real one. That's not bitterness, that's clarity. There's power in naming things for what they are. Now, months later, I still get flashes, like trauma echoes. A commercial for the hotel we once stayed at. A coffee shop where we used to meet up. A photo of 3 friends at brunch that reminds me of us. But it passes. And when it does, I'm left with something I didn't expect to find: gratitude. Yeah, I said it. Because if Jordan and Maya hadn't burned my life down, I'd still be stuck in that illusion. Still bending myself to make 2 broken people feel whole. Still ignoring the voice in my gut whispering, something's wrong. Now that voice is louder, and I listen to her. I don't silence her with excuses or romantic fantasies. I don't gaslight myself into pretending it's probably nothing. Now I know. I know what betrayal looks like. I know what self-abandonment feels like. And I know I'll never do either again. So yeah, he said he was at work. But I found him in my best friend's apartment. And that night broke me. But it also rebuilt me, piece by piece, boundary by boundary, choice by choice. I'm not the same woman I was before. I'm sharper, stronger. And next time someone lies to my face, I'll know. Because I finally trust the one person I always should have. Me.